Hey, it's Mark Ferguson with Investor More, and I'm back with another real estate video. Now, recently I posted some things on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube about how we screen tenants. So we've had some crazy issues lately with tenants, with squatters, evictions, break-ins, different things, a police standoff at a garage, and a lot of people say, oh, you need to learn how to screen your tenants. Well, most of these tenants were inherited, which means they were already in the property when I bought it. I knew there were issues. That's why I got a really good deal on that property. Well, I posted some of the tips and things I've learned over time about how to screen tenants. And one of those is about income. And it's very common for people to say rent should not be more than a third of someone's income. And I got a lot of pushback from people saying that it's impossible for people to have their rent only be a third of their income. Rent is outrageous. Wages aren't going up. It's impossible. So I want to show some statistics and show what that actually looks like on a broad scale and what the numbers show and see if that really is impossible, because most of our tenants, almost all of our tenants, make more than a third, or their rent is a third of their income or less. And we actually have a bigger issue with tenants, credit scores and other issues than it is their income. They're making enough money. It's just there's other issues that throw up red flags, things we want to say, ooh, we better be careful with. Now, it's always important to check with your state laws about what you can look at, what you can't look at. Some states are getting very strict, and some don't even want you to check credit reports. But in Colorado, we can still do that. So I'm going to show you in this video what some of the median incomes are and median rents in the country, because there's a lot of misinformation out there as well about what those rents really are. All right, love the likes, love the comments, love the shares, and we love seeing new subscribers as well. And let's get into the data and show you what rents and incomes really are in the US right now. All right, so a lot of people have come to me and used this statistics that shows the median cost for a one-bedroom apartment is now $1,876. And I'm like, I see that number, I'm like, that can't be right. I wish I could rent my one bedrooms for that much money. And I'm actually in a pretty expensive area in Colorado. Our prices are right at median for house prices, maybe a little bit above. And seeing that number seems crazy to me, because we're literally renting some of our one bedrooms for $950, $900 a month, maybe $1,000. We're not coming close to that. So I had to look into these statistics and see if they're actually accurate. And what you can do is you click on this source and you see where it takes you, and it takes you to realtor.com. And then we have this rent report in June, which was actually the highest rent we've had in a while. It's actually gone down since then. But what you see is they will show you what rent has done and different things. And you scroll down here and we see median rent overall $1,876. That's not median rent for an income. There's all these sites quoting this number that is completely wrong. That's for every property, not a one bedroom. Now you come down here and you say one bedroom is $1,738. And you say, okay, that's still pretty high. And I agree, that's really high. So then we look and we say, okay, what is that number? Like, where is that coming from? How are they getting that number? And you come down here and you can see some of the different things. You can see the increase in rents was decreasing. We keep coming down here, and then we keep looking top 10 metros that favor buy over renting, yada, 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 blah, blah, blah. All kinds of stuff about buying versus renting. Table 4, rental data. The 50 largest metropolitan areas. This is where they're getting their data. It's not the entire country. It is the 50 largest metropolitan areas in the country. So they're literally taking the largest 50 cities, areas in the country, and that's how they're getting their rent. It is not the entire country. And some of these might be more than others, but if you take the 50 largest metro areas, you're probably going to get the most expensive rental areas in the country, because usually the most populated, biggest areas are going to have the highest rent. So this is an extremely inaccurate number, not only because they're saying it's a one bedroom when it's not, it's all rentals, but because it's not the entire country. They're looking at the 50 largest rental markets or housing markets, populated areas in the entire United States. So if you really want to use that number, you would want to use the 50, income from those 50 largest metropolitan areas too, not income from the entire United States, which of course people do not do. So what does the real rent data show us? Well, if we go to the average monthly rent in the United States, we see this is a 4-bedroom, and this is in January, so maybe prices are February slightly higher than that, but again, they came back down again. So if we go back to, this is the June report that people like to use. We'll go to December. We'll go to November. That's the most recent one. And we can see rents are actually decreasing. Now, they're not quite as low as they were in the beginning of 2022, but they're really close. So while it would be nice if this data was more accurate or more recent, it still should give us a very good idea of what it really is. And you can see right here, a 4-bedroom, average rent $1,878, 3-bedroom $1,509, 2-bedroom $1,295, 1-bedroom $1,129, studio $1,092, overall $1,322. And this is looking at all of the country, all of the data, not just the 50 top rental markets. And this gives us a much better idea of what the actual rents are in the country. So 1-bedroom is not $1,800, which logically anybody in real estate can tell you that just does not make sense. Maybe in the very expensive areas, the most expensive areas in the country, you'll see those kind of rent prices. But for the most part, that is way higher than what it actually is. $1,100 makes much more sense. Like I said, my area has very close to median home prices. It would make sense that our rent prices would be very close to median as well. And our rent prices for a 1-bedroom are, like I said, $950, $1,000, in that price range, maybe lower, maybe a little bit higher depending on the type of property. And that is right in line with what this says too. So if we have a median 1-bedroom of $1,100 a month, what about what people actually make? This is the St. Louis Fred website. Amazing data. Almost all of it comes from the U.S. Census. They're very good sources. And this is median household income in the United States. This is actual household income, not real. So when you see something that says real, that means it's adjusted for inflation. So if it said real household income adjusted for 2021 numbers or something like that, that means they're adjusting every single year based on inflation. But this is the actual number, what it actually was. You can see in 1984, it was $22,000 a year for a household. In 2000, it was $41,000, almost $42,000 a year for a household. We had a slight decrease after the housing crisis, the economic crash. We saw a pretty big increase in 2019, decrease, and again, $70,784 is the median household income in the United States right now. And it's very simple how they calculate rent, and as a percentage of income is pre-tax. You don't take it after taxes. You simply say 70,000. We'll make it very easy. Divided by 12 is $5,833 a month. Now, if rent was supposed to be a third of your income, it should be a third of that. We multiply that by 0.33. $1,925 is a third of that. So if you're looking at the average household in the United States, then they should be paying $1,925 in rent to meet that third of their income. And a 4-bedroom, 3-bedroom property average rent is below that, less than that. Now, if you're in very expensive areas, certain parts of the country, sure, it might be tough. You might be paying more than that. But for the most part, overall, the averages, the medians show rent is definitely attainable for a third of your income or less. Now, some people might say, well, this is an entire household. This isn't representative of a single person trying to make money. Okay, let's look at that. All right, what we're looking at right now is average hourly earnings of production and non-supervisory employees. So that means, right, they're not managers, they're not making a ton of money. Production, non-supervisory employees. You can see in 1965, it was $2.60. Again, not adjusted for inflation. These are the actual numbers. In 1990, it was $10 an hour. In 2000, it was $14 an hour. 2010, $18.50. And we had the crazy COVID jump. Now it is $28 in that range for what the average hourly earnings of someone working makes. And we say, well, what does that mean per year? Well, all right, so we have this trusty calculator. We can put in $28 an hour, means you're making about $58,000 a year. So we plug that into our calculator, 58, 1, 2, 3, divide that by 12. $4,800 a month is a full-time person working hourly, not a manager, not a supervisor. And again, we multiply that by 0.33 to see what they could afford for rent. $1,595 for the average person working hourly. And again, average rent, that would get them a 3-bedroom. A 2-bedroom, 1-bedroom would be well below that when you look at the averages for U.S. salaries versus U.S. rents and what you can get yourself in this country right now. Now, of course, there's going to be certain areas where it's going to be trickier to make enough money. Rents will be higher. You know, there's going to be more, less all over the place. But in general, this idea that rents are just absolutely out of control and way too high compared to wages is not true when you look at the national numbers. Wages have been going up significantly. If you see this little, they were real flat here from 2010 to 2019, and they've gone up significantly since COVID. Wages have been going up. Even the federal government will say one reason they keep wanting to raise interest rates and try and beat down inflation is because there's too many jobs available and wages keep going up. Even the federal government says that. And so wages have been going up a lot. And rent has been going up too, yes, but rent was very stagnant for a long time, especially after the housing crash. And really, it's not that high compared to what people are making. Now, if you want to look at housing costs, buying a house, those have gone up higher than rent. Those prices have gone up higher, especially when you consider interest rates jumping up, which is also thank you to the federal government. The cost of buying a house has become significantly higher. And so if you're an investor, if you want to buy properties, rent them out to people, then you have to have rents go up to even justify buying any houses to rent out because interest rates are higher. And so if you really want to get mad at somebody for causing rent prices to go up, causing a shortage of rentals, that type of thing, you can blame the federal government for raising interest rates, which makes it harder for investors to buy houses and have more supply of rentals for people to rent. And you do see in the last 6-7 years, the amount of rentals has decreased. I know everyone says, oh, hedge funds are buying everything, investors are buying up everything, pushing up prices. The actual data shows us the amount of rental properties being bought is decreasing while the amount of owner occupants is increasing significantly. You know, just so you believe me, I'll show you right here. This is Fred again. This is renter occupied housing units in the United States. You can see real flat, big increase, all the way up to 44 million properties in 2016. Flat, little bit of an increase, flat, big drop, COVID drop. We kind of ignore that. But again, flat, drop. 43 million now. Since 2016, there are fewer rental occupied units now than 2016. And that's with them building apartments, building new rentals, and adding to that inventory because the amount of properties that landlords are selling is way more than they're buying. CoreLogic showed us that 50% more rentals are being sold than bought since COVID happened. So all this rumors and different stories about investors pushing prices up because they're buying everything is actually not true. They're selling way more than they're buying. And that's why we see less rentals and we're seeing rents start to go up because there's fewer rentals, there's fewer supply, and supply and demand pushes prices up when there's not enough supply. And that's what we're seeing. And if you really want to blame someone for housing prices go up, you would blame owner occupants who have been buying way more houses than landlords. And here is the owner-occupied, which is kind of the opposite of rentals. So from 2006, a decrease in owner-occupied units. And then since 2016, we saw a steady decline in rentals. Look at this, a huge increase in owner-occupied units, especially the last few years. And that is really what's pushing prices up and making there fewer rentals. So So the truth of the matter is, when you look at the numbers, people can actually afford rent. They make enough, according to national statistics, to afford a third of their income. We see that personally all the time. Rents aren't nearly as high as a lot of these publications make them seem across the board. Landlords, investors have not been buying up every property. In fact, it's the opposite. They've been selling more. Owner-occupants have been buying way more, which is pushing up housing prices. And if you really want rents to decrease, rents to stabilize, you want more rentals. You want more supply of rentals, which means you want landlords, investors to buy more properties. But the whole push right now is to have more restrictions, rent control, taxes on landlords, all these different things, which will have them buy less, which in reality will make rents keep going up, because we're not going to buy rentals if there's more restrictions, more costs, and we're not making any money. We're actually going to keep selling them. And if we keep selling them, rents will just keep going up higher and higher and higher. All right, a lot of different things covered right there. Hopefully that made some sense to you. If you have questions, comments below, please let me know. And love the likes and shares as well.